Good day, class. Welcome to our English virtual classroom. My name is Teacher Ira, your teacher for today. May I request Ashley to lead the prayer? In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you, Ashley. Now I will be going to check your attendance for today. Group 1, thank you. And Group 2, thank you. I am glad that there are no absentees for today's class. May I request everybody to turn on your cameras? Okay, please move it to the right side, to your left side, upward, and downward. Okay, now let us now have a screenshot. Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, thank you. Let me share to you my 5 golden reminders to our class for a fun and productive class. The first one is be on time. When I send to you the link for our class in our GC, I want you to join in 10 to 15 minutes before our class, so we do not have to wait for your other classmates to join in, and so that we will able to finish the discussion on time. The second one is turn off your microphone and camera. As I requested earlier, to turn on your camera, okay, to take a screenshot of your attendance and your presence in our class today. Okay, unless if I ask something, that is the time that you will turn on your microphone. However, just like earlier, as I requested you to turn on your microphone, that is the time that you will turn on your microphone. Rather, the camera. Okay, number 3, set up your space and make sure it's quiet and uninterrupted. I know some of you does not have a particular space in your houses to learn. So now come to think of it and make an effort to spot the spaces in your house that will give you a quiet and safe space for learning. Number 4, be respectful to others. When someone is answering, whatever their opinion is, let's respect them. And lastly, be a good listener. I want you to keep focus on my discussion and keep your ears on my words. Now let us have a first recap. Okay, first recap to our previous lesson. To prepare 1/4 sheet of paper, write your name, grade and section, teacher, and the date today. Thumbs up if you are all done preparing. It seems that you are all done preparing. Number your paper from 1 to 5. Okay. Direction from the previous lesson, which is the elements of poem. Write down the letter of your best answer. This is only for 1 point. Write only the letter. I will read the question and choices once. You have 5 seconds to answer each question. Let's start. Okay, number one. Purple puppies like playing on the playground. This sentence is an example of A. Personification, B. Anaphora, C. Alliteration, D. Motif. Hope is the things with feathers that perches of the soul, and sings the tune without the words, and never stops at all. A. Rhyming couplet, B. Memento mori, C. Juxtaposition, D. Slant rhyme. Number 3. This cartoon illustrates A. Hyperbole, B. Prose, C. Paradox, D. Oxymoron. Number 4. The funeral home was built next to a children's nursery. This is an example of A. Paradox, B. Juxtaposition, C. Oxymoron, D. Metaphor. And last, number 5. In the lyrics of Romeo, Take Me Somewhere We Can Be Alone, from the Song of Love Story by Taylor Swift, these lyrics makes use of A. Historical paradox, B. Metaphor, C. Literary allusion, D. Irony. Okay, so let us now check your papers. Use the red ball pen to check your paper, and please be honest in checking your own paper. So number 1, who would like to answer number 1? Yes, Andrea. Okay, so if your answer is letter C, alliteration, then that is correct. Because alliteration is a repetition of sounds at the beginning of several words in a sentence. Okay, notice the P's: purple, puppies, playing, and playground. Okay, so let us now answer number 2. Who would like to answer number 2? Yes, Jason. Okay, so if your answer is letter D, slant rhyme, then that is correct because okay, this poem contains a metaphor which is hope is the things with feathers and also a slant rhyme. So since we have no metaphor in the choices, the slant rhyme occurs between the second and fourth lines. And this is soul and all. Okay, so let us now answer number 3. Samantha, answer number 3, please. Okay, so if your answer is letter A, hyperbole, then that is correct. Because this cartoon or this illustration shows the strong exaggeration to create an emphasis. So he is so angry he could eat a horse, and that is literally hyperbole. So number 4, let us now answer number 4. Yes, Georgia. Okay, so if your answer letter B, juxtaposition, then that is correct because these two buildings placed side by side. Okay, this nearness or proximity provides an interesting comparison that is joining and forces us to think about the proximity of life and death. Okay, the last number, number 5. Okay, Albert. Okay, so if your answer is letter C, literary allusion, then that is correct. Because Swift or Taylor Swift is talking to Romeo, which is a literary allusion from the play of Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. So count the number of the correct answers and write it on the upper right side of your paper and keep it aside. So we begin our next activity. Okay. So again, prepare another 1/4 sheet of paper. Write your name, grade and section, teacher, and the date today. As we begin our first activity, it's guess time. Okay, so direction, identify the following pictures shown in the screen. Okay, this is 2 points each. I will be sharing the illustration or the pictures once, and I will give you 5 seconds to answer to identify what does the picture shown in the screen. Okay, so thumbs up if you are all ready to start our activity. It's guest time. So let's start. Number 1. What does the picture shows? Number 2. Number 6. Number last. Number. Okay, thumbs up if you are done answering, so we can now start checking your papers. So it seems that you are already done answering. Let's answer number 1. Who would like to answer number 1? Yes. Who am I going to call? Yes, Jessica. What is the answer for number 1? Magnifying glass? Okay. Closer, closer. Guess another. Okay, that is point of view because as you can see there, the hand focusing on one spot in the place that he or she is into. So that is point of view. So next number 2. Who would like to answer number 2? Yes. Paul, what is your answer in number 2? Agreement? Mm, little closer. Just guess another. Yes, Andrea. Yes, introduction. Very good. Introduction. Okay, number three. Ashley. What is your answer in number three, Ashley? Okay, that is a literally body. Next, number four. Who would like to answer number four? Anyone? Samantha. Yes, conclusion. Very good. Number five. Georgia. What is your answer in number five? This is the blank of a movie or a series. Toy Story, I guess. Yes, that is the characters. Next, number six. Who would like to answer number six? There are children, something playing on the river. Who would like to answer? Yes, AJ. A book, a little bit closer. A little bit closer. Okay, just guess another. Okay, so that is fiction. So fiction is happenings or the true happenings or true scenario that happened in our everyday life. Okay, so number seven. Who would like to answer number seven? Actually, this is the opposite of a fiction. Yes. What? Who? Who do I call? Yes. Sean, what is your answer? Yes, nonfiction. Very good. Okay, number eight. Someone just raising his or her hand. Yes, yes. Andrea, what is your answer in number eight? Okay, very good. Plot. And number nine. What is your answer in number nine? Cyril. Comedy because there are masks who are smiling. Guess another. Comedy is just part of it. Yes, a theme, very good. And last number, we have this kind of thing in our cell phone. So what is this? Yes, Ashley. Yes, very good setting. So, okay, count the number of the correct answer and write it on the upper right corner of your paper. And so we are now done to our first activity entitled It's Guess Time. Now I want you to prepare again a one-fourth sheet of paper. Number it from 1 to 5. Okay, write your name, grade and section, teacher, and the day today as we begin our second activity entitled Complete Me. Here's the direction. Complete the missing letters to describe the image. Okay, just thumbs up if you are done preparing or if you are done writing. Okay, so we can now start the second activity. So it seems that you are done writing. Let us now start your second activity, Complete Me. Again, I will flash the pictures once. And I will give you 5 seconds to identify each pictures. So let's start. Number one, what does the picture shows? Number two, three, four. So thumbs up for those who are finished. Okay, so we can now start checking your paper. Okay, it seems that you are all done answering an activity to complete me. Now let us check your answer. Now, who would like to answer number one? Yes, Jacob. What does the picture shows? Yes, very good. The picture shows is fly. Okay, the fly. Okay, number two. What does the picture shows? Who would like to answer? Yes, John. Excellent. That is a grave. Number three. What does the picture shows? Jennifer. Very good. That is a literally boss office. Okay, number four. Who would like to answer number four? What does the picture shows? Yes, Angelica. Yes, it is a loss. And last picture. Who would like to answer the last picture? Yes, Andy. What is your answer for number five? Excellent. That is a grief. Now, teacher, what is the difference between the loss and the grief? Okay, so loss is an inevitable part of life, while grief is the natural part natural part of healing process. Okay, so yeah, write the number or write the total correct answers. Write it on the upper right corner of your paper and place it on under the activity one. It's guess time. So okay, so this activity is an open door to our main discussion for today's class. And I know that some of you is already familiar with our topic or with our lesson for today, which is a short story. Now, teacher, what is short story? Now, short story is a brief fictional fictional prose narrative that is shorter than a novel. So, we all know that the novel is a thicker book than the short story. However, short story, it is not a literally short. It sometimes takes on 2 to 5 pages Okay, 2 to 5 pages with a different genre, with a different types of short story. Now, teacher, are the elements of the short story po? So, the first one, we have the character. So, the character is a person or sometimes an animal who takes part in an action of a short story of other literary work. So, when we say character, it can be person or animal. Okay. Two is the settings. Settings, it is a time and place in when and where the scenes happen. Okay, so the settings, we easily identify what settings in the story. It can be date, it can be place, it can be month, it can be time. Okay, sometimes it can be seen the first or in the first, middle, or last paragraph. Next, the third one is the plot. It is a series of events and characters, actions that is related to the central conflict. Now, teacher, what is the difference between summary and the plot? Now, the summary, a summarization of the specific story. Okay, the summarization, it's it is actually shorter than the plot. Okay, well, the plot, okay, it is somehow summarized but has a complete thought where it has a introduction, conflict, and solution. Now, the fourth one is the conflict. Conflict, it is a struggle between two people, things, or animal in a short story. Okay, somehow it is a problem, it is a struggle, it is a conflict between two people or two or more than two people. Okay, so what are the problems in the story? Okay, what is the struggle of the protagonist and the antagonist in the story? Okay, sometimes conflict cannot be seen only in the person by person or protagonist or antagonist. Sometimes conflict might seen in yourself, and we called it types of conflict. So first types of conflict: character versus self, character versus nature, character versus society, and so on. Okay, conflict does not define or does not focuses on the struggle between two people. Okay, it also focuses on the struggle of the protagonist or antagonist. Okay, so the last is the theme. Theme is the central idea or belief in a short story. Okay, different books, different genres, different types of short story or in essay, it has a three kinds of point of view. Okay, in the short story, to be specific. Okay, so the first one is, yes, first person point of view, which is chiefly using I and we. Okay, so it is a narrative, a mode of storytelling. It may be narrated by protagonist, okay, the reteller, witness, and so on. So the second one is second person point of view, which chiefly using you, it, which can be limited. Okay, the narrator describes what you do, okay, and lets you into your own thoughts and background. Okay, the last point of view is third person point of view, which chiefly using he, she, they, and him, her, and them. Okay, whether the narrator has access to the thoughts and feelings of any any or all of the characters. Okay, so teacher, is there types of short stories? Yes, it is. Yes, it has 10 types of short stories. Okay, the first one is the anecdote. Anecdote is a type of storytelling about a real person and or accident. It is also used to illustrate or support a point in an essay, article, or chapter. So, example, a group of workers discussing pets, and one coworker tells a story about how his or her cat comes downstairs at only certain time of the night. Okay, then that one coworker told that it is an anecdote, anecdote of his or her cat. Okay, another example is an anecdote of Manny Pacquiao, an anecdote of Tony Gonzaga, an anecdote of Jose Rizal. Okay, so anecdote is a simply retelling. Okay, retelling or simply telling the story of influence or whatever it is that you want to tell with your friends or family or your loved ones. Next type is a jabble. Jabble, it is comprising of 100 words as he or she express himself meaningfully in a very confined space. So the purpose of writing this jabble is to the author's brevity, to test the author's ability to express an interesting topic or interesting writing which has a meaningful ideas in a confined space. Now, teacher, what is the difference between jabble and one shoot? The jabble is written for only 100 words. Now, in one shot, most commonly written from 300 to 1,000 words. Okay, so the third types of the type of short story is a fable. Okay, it features anthropomorphic creatures, usually animals, but also mythical creatures, plants, inanimate objects, or forces of nature telling a story with moral lesson. I know some of you is I know some of you are already familiar with this kind of short story fable that talks about all the animals that talks about the all animals which has a moral lesson. For example, the fox and the grapes, the lion and the mouse. No, teacher, what is the difference po between parable and fable? No, the fable again is focusing on the animals or the mythical creatures, plants, inanimate objects, while the parable is a kind of short story, but it focuses on the God, our God. It focuses on how good our God is. The the what do we call this? The story of our God, the story of being good to other people. Okay, that is the differences. Now, the fourth types of short story is Feghut. Feghut is a story pan or poetic story joke type of short story. For example, um, 40 million Frenchmen. Okay, so however, this is a joke type of short story, so it has a theme of comedy. Okay, just spice up the comedy. Now, the fifth type of short story is the flash fiction. I know that some of you are aware what is a flash fiction. This is an extremely short piece of literature. It has no widely accepted length but has debated cap of between 300 and 1000 words or depending. Okay, so flash fiction is all about the facts. Okay, the facts that is true happening in the story. No, it is depend to our teacher or the professor on what will be the minimum or maximum words that we are about to write. For example, Give It Up by Kafka or Chapter 5 by Ernest Hemingway. Okay, so the sixth type of short story is the frame story. So frame story, it is also known as a frame tale or a nested narrative. It is a technique of placing a story within a story for the purpose of introducing or setting the stage for a main narrative or a series of short stories. This is very self-explanatory. Frame story, it's something like a story which has a series. For example, for example, Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales. Okay. Seventh type of short story is a mini saga. Mini saga, it is about saying a lot with the title, of course. If you can manage to tell a story in exactly 50 words, you can call it mini saga. So mini saga is invented by Brian Aldiss. Brian Aldiss. Okay, so for example is The Last Journey. So how can you able to expand the last journey within the confined space or the confined minimum of um maximum of 50 words? How will you do that? Okay, for our eighth type of a short story is a sketch story. Sketch story, this type of story is shorter than average piece containing little or no plot. Character sketches are common on a goof way to build a character that will eventually be a part of a longer piece. So this genre or this type of short story is invented after 16th century in England as a result of a increasing public interest in realistic depictions of exotic locales. Right. So from the word sketch, somehow it is related or it is similar to illustrate or illustration. Okay, the ninth is a story sequence. Story sequence is when a group of short stories work together to form a longer piece. It is called a story sequence. However, each story functions as a complete short story on its own. It is also called a short story cycle or a composite novel. The last is vignette. It is not a filter or a contrast or in editable in our cell phone for a picture edit, but it is a short piece that focuses on a single scene, character, idea, setting, or object. There is a little emphasis on adhering to conventional actually it's theatrical or literary structure or story development. It can be standalone piece or part of a longer work. So one of the example of that is By the Railway Side by Alice Meynell, and Hemingway's Use of Repetition. So it is focusing on the one or a single scene or a character, idea, setting, or object. So again, what are the elements of short stories? We have character, we have a theme, we have plot, we have settings, and conflict. Now, what are the three kinds of point of view? We have first person, second person, and third person. Now, what are the 10 types of short stories? We have an anecdote, and travel, fable, feghood, flash fiction, frame story, mini saga, sketch story, story sequence, and vignette. So now let us go to our main discussion, which we are about to keep on focusing. I instructed you yesterday in our class schedule to read the story of Katherine Mansfield, The Fly. Have you read it already? Thumbs up if you are done reading it. Let me see if who are done. Okay, so now let us tackle or let us discuss about the Catherine Mansfield, The Fly. But before that, I am going to introduce the background of Miss Catherine Mansfield.
Kathleen Murray, married name Kathleen Mansfield Murray, New Zealand born English short story master. Catherine Mansfield, pseudonym of Kathleen Mansfield, Buchamp, born on October 14, 1888, in Wellington, New Zealand, and died in January 9, 1923, in Gurdjieff Institute near Fontainebleau, France. New Zealand-born English short story master who developed a distinctive prose style with many overtones of poetry, with an obliqueness of narration and a subtlety of observation. Her delicate pieces centered on psychological problems reflect on Anton Chekhov's influence. She, in turn, had a significant impact on the development of the short story as a literary form. Catherine Mansfield left New Zealand at the age of 19 to establish herself as a writer in England after her studies in Wellington and London. When she reads the ill-humored stories collected in a German pension, she is disillusioned. In 1911, she contributed pieces in Rhythm and the Blue Review, edited by John Middleton Murray, a critic and essayist whom she married in 1918 after her divorce from George Bowden until 1914. Her soldier brother's death in 1915 startled her into realizing that she had a holy responsibility to him and to her native country's remembered landmarks. Prelude in 1918 was a collection of short stories that were delightfully evocative of her family's New Zealand experiences. This, along with others, were exhibited in Bliss in 1920, commenting her reputation and defining her style. Mansfield's strongest work came in next 2 years with At the Bay, The Voyage, The Stranger, with New Zealand settings, and the classic Daughters of the Late Colonel, a delicate tale of genteel frustration being her crowning achievement. Tuberculosis engulfed her during the remaining 5 years of her life. Apart from incomplete material, her final words were published posthumously in The Dove's Nest in 1923 and Something Childish in 1923 to 1924. Murray edited the journal in 1927 or revised in 1954 from her papers, and he also published the letters to him with notes in 1928, revised in 1951. Vincent O'Sullivan and Margaret Scott in 1984 to 2008 compiled Mansfield collected letters, and Scott also edited Mansfield notebooks in 1997.
Okay, so we all know the background of Katherine Mansfield. Now, for those who are not able to read the story by Katherine Mansfield, you can watch the storytelling, my storytelling. Just copy or simply click this link or just type it on the search box. utu.be/mni capital QGGVWM9NA, or to read the story, just copy or simply click this link, commapress.co.uk/resources/online short stories /the fly and slash. Okay, now for those who are able to read the story, let us now answer. Okay, so who is the author of the story? Yes, Ashley. Of course, it is Katherine Mansfield. Okay. Number two, what is or are the significant event or events in the story? Who would like to share? Okay, so the significant event in the story is the death of the boss's son and the fly, because it is a symbol of how death conquers all. Okay, number three. What are the figures of speech that author used in the story? Cite an example. Okay, yes, Andrea. Yes, metaphor and simile. That is correct. The figure of speech that most commonly used in the story of the fly are metaphor, simile, irony, imagery, allusion, foreshadowing, personification, and parallelism. Okay, so for example, electric heating like a sausage. Okay, that is an example of a metaphor. Okay, number four. Who is or are the protagonist and the antagonist in the story? Who do you think? Yes, Jason. Very good. The protagonist in the story is the boss. Okay, the unnamed protagonist referred to exclusively as the boss. However, in the middle of the story, there is no antagonist because it has a conflict of character versus self because he was very upset. He was very upset in his son's death. Okay, meanwhile, when the fly is drowning in his ink pond, um, the boss tries to save the fly, but of course, he became an antagonist because he let the fly drown to death. Okay, number five, what is the main conflict in the story? Who would like to answer? Share your ideas. Yes, Ashley. The death of a boss, or the death of a son's boss. Okay, very good. So the main conflict in the story was the main character, which is the boss. When the boss is having a conversation between him and old Widifield, an old friend of his, when said friend brings up the death of the boss's son, as the old friend leaves the boss office is very upset until he sees a fly drowning in his ink pot and decides to what, save it, but literally kill it. Okay, so number six, what is the actually what is the point of view, what is the point of view used in the story? What do you think is the point of view in the story of The Fly by Katherine Mansfield? Yes, Jasmine. Very good. The author used third person point of view by reason which the storyteller uses a combined point of view of his own and the characters. Very good. Number seven. What is the literary theory that best explains the story that wants to get across and why? What do you think is the literary theory? It is somehow a realistic or realism. But the story The Fly, or the short story The Fly by Katherine Mansfield, occurs in London in 1922. Okay, soon after the destruction of World War One, from 1914 to 1918. At that time, England was suffering from a trauma of war and existential and economic crises caused by the World War One. So moreover, the literary theory in this story was a structural realist or structural realism theory. Okay, number eight. What is the main philosophy or worldview that is expressed in the story? Why do you say so? Okay, so for the main philosophy or worldview, the story of The Fly have a deep philosophical meaning and reveal the ways in which different life events influence human nature. Okay, most commonly that touch internal issues. Okay, which concernly the purposes for which people sacrifice their lives and analyze the consequences of their decisions. Last number nine, give at least three moral lesson in the story. So I will call three students to share their moral story or moral lesson in the story. Let us call John. What is the first moral moral lesson in the story that you've noticed? Yes, very good. That the death is permanent and it is natural. Okay, so second one is Samantha. What is your second moral lesson? That the grief and loss is a part of healing process. Yes, very good. That the healing, that the loss and grief is a part of healing process when our loved ones or some members of our family is gone. Okay. Last moral lesson is coming from who? Yes, John. What is your? No, 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 no. Let us call. Let us call AJ. What is your third moral lesson in the story? Okay, very good. That don't commit to revenge. No, actually, the three moral stories or the moral lesson in the story that your classmates said or share is very good, is actually a perfect answer because the three moral lesson in the story was the first one is the death is the permanent irreversible cessation of all biological functions that sustain an organism. The second one is grief and loss is a way of forgetting someone, and it takes time to heal. And lastly, whatever happens, don't revenge. So it is nice. It is such a nice story to read from Katherine Mansfield The Fly. Actually, the first time I saw it, I thought it was the first time I searched it. The first time I searched it, I thought it was not the real story. I think it is something like, you know, beyond the story. So it is such a nice story. It is a very good. It has a deep meaning and deep realizations. So now, without further ado, prepare again the one-fourth sheet of paper. Write your name, grade and section, teacher, and the day today. Number your paper from 1 to 5. I guess 1 to 5. And let's do the activity number 3. Where do I belong? Okay. So here is the direction using the graphic organizer. Identify the character, plot, conflict, theme, and setting of the story by choosing the answer in the box below. This is 2 points. Again, answer only. Just write the answer only, letter, based on what do you think the elements of the story will be applicable to the choices. Okay, or which choices is applicable to the elements of the short story. I will be giving you a I will be giving you a 10 minutes to do that. I will going to read the graphic organizer and then the choices. Okay? So thumbs up if you're all done preparing and if you are ready to start our activity entitled Where Do I Belong? Okay, most of you are already thumbs up. Okay, so now let's start the activity. Okay, here's our graphic organizer. In the middle part, we have the circle, and inside is the fly by Katherine Mansfield. We have this character, settings, theme, conflict, and plot. So here are the elements of the short story. Now we will make attached to these choices. We will make choose what is the best applicable or best answer to the elements of the short story. So we have this A, Bo, A, Boss, Old Woodyfield, Macy, Gertrude, Reggie, and the Fly. Letter B. Between the boss and the fly is the battle. I mean, letter B. The battle between the boss and the fly is heavily stuck in the ink, and the boss is obviously won since the death of the fly reminded him of death of his son and possible his wife also. Letter C. Death, power, grief, and mourning. Letter D. London, England. Letter E. Old Woodyfield comes to visit his old boss. The boss shows Old Woodyfield his office wherein he just redecorated it. Then Old Woodyfield tells the boss that his daughter, Woodyfield's daughter, was in Belgium and saw her brother's grave, Woodyfield's son. She also saw the grave of the boss's son. Old Woodyfield tells the boss about the cemetery and how nice it is. The boss gets really sad and almost cries. He asks his secretary Macy to leave him alone in his office for a while. He thinks about he was gonna give his son the company, but he refuses to cry. The boss sees the fly and hid ink pond, where ink is stored for old pens. He takes the fly and tortures it with ink. After that, the fly died. You will answer it now. So thumbs up if you are done answering the activity 3, where do I belong? Okay, so let us now check your paper. Again, use the red ball pen to check your paper, and please be honest in checking your paper. So number 1, let's start with the character. Who would like to answer in number 1? Yes, Jessica. What is the answer in number 1 character in these choices? Very good. Letter A. Characters are the boss, Old Woodyfield, Macy, and Gertrude, Reggie, and the fly. Very good. Number 2, the settings. Who would like to answer which in these choices is the settings? Yes, Sean, what is your answer in number 2, settings? Yes, very good. London, England. Yes, very good. Excellent. Okay, number 3, theme. What is the theme in these choices? Yes, Jason. What is the theme? Okay, very good. Letter C, death, power, grief, and mourning. Okay, the fourth one is conflict. Who would like to answer number four, conflict? Yes, Ashley. Of course, very good. Letter B is the correct answer, which the conflict is focusing on the battle. Okay, so the last number plot. Yes, yes, Samantha. Yes, a letter E. Very good. So write the total of your correct score and write it on the upper corner of your paper. So now prepare again a 1/4 sheet of paper as we begin our activity 4, word escape. Okay, so direction, arrange the jumbled letters based on the given statement in each item. So prepare again 1/4 sheet of paper, write your name, grade and section, teacher, and the date today. Okay, done? Okay, so again, I will going to read the statement once, and I will give you um, 5 seconds to answer each jumbled or um, to arrange the jumbled letters under the statements. Actually, this is a foreign words that are used in the story The Fly. So let's start. Thumbs up if you're ready to start our activity for Wordscape. Okay, so number one, it is a comfortable, warm, and cozy. Arrange the letters. Two, look with difficulty or concentration at someone or something. Number three, it is a type of carriage. Carriage or stroller for a baby. Number four, it is a type of person who is creating a problem or menace. Number five, it is a thick, sticky dark syrup made from partly refined sugar or simply molasses. Number six, it is a violation or misuse of what is regarded as sacred. Number seven, interfere with something in order to cause damage or make unauthorized alterations. Number eight, triumphantly happy. Triumphantly happy. Number nine, requiring considerable time and effort. And last number 10, a very unhappy or unfortunate state. Okay, just thumbs up if you are done answering or double checking your answers so we can now start check your papers. It seems that you are all done answering activity 4 wordscape. Now let us answer it. Number 1, who would like to answer number 1? Yes, 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 yes. Jacob. Very good. It is snug. Snug is comfortable, warm, and cozy. Number 2, who would like to answer number 2? Yes, Ashley. Very good. It is a peer. Peer, look with difficulty or concentration at someone or something. Next, number 3. Who would like to answer number 3? Yes, Andrea. Very good. It is a pram. It is a type of carriage or stroller for a baby. Number 4, Jessica. Yes, very good. It's nuisance. Okay, nuisance is a type of person who is creating a problem or menace. Number 5, AJ. Okay, very good. Trickle. It is trickle. It is a thick, sticky dark syrup made from partly refined sugar. Number 6, who would like to answer? Yes, Marie. Yes, excellent. It is sacrilege. It is a violation or misuse of what is regarded as sacred from the use or from the word sacred. Number 7. Yes, Maricot is a tamper. Tamper, interfere with something in order to cause damage or make an authorized alteration. Number 8. Yes, Jose. Very good. It is chaps. Number 9. Yes, Carlo. You would like to answer number 9? Okay. What is your answer in number 9? Very good. That is laborious. Laborious. Okay, last number 10. Who would like to answer? Yes, Jason. Okay, excellent. That is wretchedness. Wretchedness. A very unhappy or unfortunate state. Okay, write the total of the correct answer. Count the total of the correct answer and write it on the upper corner of your paper. So now let's have a formative assessment for today's discussion. Prepare again a 1/4 sheet of paper. Number it from 1 to 5. Again, I will going to read the question once and the choices. Okay, I will give you 5 seconds to answer each question. So, okay, okay, direction. From the story The Fly, write down the letter of your best answer. This is for 1 point only. Okay, thumbs up if you are all ready to answer our formative assessment, our quiz today. Okay, so let's start. Number 1. What literary device used in the short story The Fly, where the fly represent the memories and struggle of the boss's son? A. Simile. B. Metaphor. C. Irony. D. Allegory. Number 2. What literary device used in the short story The Fly, in which it is heavily alludes to World War One? A. Allusion. B. Imagery. C. Paradox. D. Parallelism. Number 3. Electric heating, like sausages, is an example of what literary device? A. Simile. B. Metaphor. C. Irony. D. Allegory. Number 4. What literary device used in the short story The Fly, in which Mansfield employs strong sequences of blank to illustrate the story theme? A. Allusion. B. Imagery. C. Paradox. D. Parallelism. Number 5. What literary device used in the short story The Fly, wherein Katherine Mansfield describes the empty splendor of the boss's office in detail? A. Allusion. B. Imagery. C. Paradox. And D. Parallelism. Number 6. What literary device used in the tragic situation of the fly and the infant? A. Allusion. B. Imagery. C. Paradox. D. Parallelism. Number 7. What literary device used in the short story The Fly, where old Woodyfield describes the boss son's grave in Belgium? A. Allusion. B. Imagery. C. Paradox. D. Parallelism. Eight. The Fly is an example of what literary device? A. Irony. B. Allegory. C. Imagery. D. Symbol. And number 9. What literary device used in the short story The Fly, where the boss, son, and the fly are blank in their ultimate death? A. Allusion. B. Imagery. C. Paradox. D. Parallelism. And last, number 10. What literary device used in the short story The Fly, where the boss hopes, indeed plans to weep, yet he is unable to cry or feel anything close to the level of acute grief that he expected to feel? By the end of the story, he has forgotten about his sadness altogether. A. Allusion. B. Imagery. C. Paradox. D. Parallelism. Okay, so thumbs up if you are done answering or double checking your answer. So we can now start checking your paper. Okay, now let us check your paper. Use the red ball pen to check your paper, and please be honest in checking your paper. Once once I call your name, just state the letter of your answer. Okay? Ashley. Okay, very good. Letter B. Andrew. Number 2. Very good. Letter A. Number 3. Samantha. Very good. Letter B. Number 4, Jacob. Very good. Letter B, imagery. Number 5, Angelo. Again, very good. Letter B, imagery. Number 6, Marie. Again, letter B, imagery. Number 7, Marie Carl. Again, it is letter B, imagery. Number 8, Sean. Very good. It is D symbol. Number 9, John. Yes, again, letter D, parallelism. And last, number 10, Ashley. Okay, number 10 is a letter C. Very good. So count the number of the correct answer and write it on the upper corner of your paper. So now, okay, so for your assignment, based on what we have discussed today, create your own short story depending on your imagination, either fiction or non-fiction. Then plot it on a diagram that shows the sequences of the story. So next time we will be focusing fiction and non-fiction, of course the plot, and do your assignments, okay? Do your assignments. Now, the quizzes, the recap quiz, and the activities, of course, the post quiz. Okay, submit all the photo of your activities and quizzes in our group chat. Okay, you can direct message me or just simply send it to our group chat. So, thank you, class. Thank you, class, and see you on our next meeting. Okay, see you on our next meeting. Bye. Bye for now.